Well, welcome to the web design recording for week 5. And as you can see, week 5 is April 29 through May 5. And in week 5, we're getting into the What You See is What You Get unit, or WYSIWG.IWYG unit. And this is where we're using an editor to do the work as opposed to doing coding, although we will look at coding a little bit. But you can see that this unit, the WYSIWYG unit, this week we're going to cover section 1 and sections 2. Next week, in week 6, we'll cover sections 3 and 4. But there are 3 assignments that you'll turn in for the work this week: CSS font assignment, formatting autobiography text assignment, and the WYSIWYG table assignment. You'll learn more about these as we go into this, and to look at the lesson. The other thing to remind you, of course, is you have the Class Connect write-up. Now, one thing I've provided for you are recordings on how to do this work exactly. And these recordings, I went through and did the work, so they will give you the exact way to do it. So what I would suggest is that you use those recordings to guide you as you get your work done. Now, one more thing. We've had roughly 300 points, so we're about halfway through the class, or maybe about 400 points. But anyway, we're getting more than halfway through the class. If you're behind, you need to catch up, because as we get into weeks 5 and 6, there's quite a bit of work to do on this whole web page project. So you need to get old work caught up, then get into this new work. Now, the other thing I want to show before we jump into the work, here's a passing plan. So if I click on that, you can see how the passing plan works. What I've gone in and I've put in some possible points to earn 607 points. You can see these items right here gets a certain amount of points, and you don't even have to have full credit on all of those. Then if we scroll down, you'll see that further along in the WYSIWYG unit, some points you can earn. In the copyright unit, some points you can earn. And then finally, the final exam, you can earn a few points there. So all of these points add up to 607. Obviously, I'd like you to get a higher grade than that, but I know that some students have some of the core classes they need to pass, and that this one they just want to pass with a D at the worst. So here's how you could do it, with doing some of the assignments that I feel are easier to do and won't take you so much time. And this even includes, you don't even have to do the final project. So think about that as a way to at least pass the class, if that's all your goal is to get a D to pass the class. All right, here we go. Let's jump into week 5, which is the WYSIWYG editor unit. And of course, the first thing you want to do is look at the write-up questions. So in the introduction section, what does WYSIWYG stand for, and how is it a way to design web pages? What WYSIWYG software will you use for this course? So let's think about those things. So WYSIWYG stands for What You See is What You Get. And the way that it helps you write the work, is it displays text and graphics on the screen the same way they will be displayed on the web page. That's why it means what you see is what you get. So what you see as you're doing your work is exactly what you get. And the difference, of course, is with coding. When you're doing the work in coding, that is not what you see as when you get your final product. The coding gets translated. Now, as we do this work, we'll be using a program that's called NVU. So you'll want to download it. And what this does is it walks you through. You can download it right here on this Windows. We can see that in this unit we're going to set up some CSS, format CSS, look at different views, edit tables, look at graphics, etc. Of course, the assignment points, I probably adjusted these a little bit, so you want to go look at the grade book. So moving ahead, so downloading NVU. So you can click right here, and here are the steps to download NVU. Follow these steps exactly. and you'll get that downloaded fine. And here's a video, but you want to make sure you're using the NVU program. So let's go back to the write-up, because that takes us into section 1. So what does this stand for, and how does it help you design web pages? Well, WYSIWYG software, we talked about that, right? Okay. Into section 1, you've downloaded NVU. Well, you probably should have downloaded it. Right in here, you could do that. So that's going to be just a yes or no question. If you haven't, then you need to get it downloaded. Now, talking about more of the work. Once you create a CSS, meaning a style sheet, what do you have to do to make them part of the web page? List the 4 views in NVU, which one you use most often, and provide the exact full names of the 6 pages you'll use for the autobiography assignment. So now we're going to go ahead and look at this next assignment, getting into section 1. So again, in section 1, downloading NVU. And now CSS. And remember, we did CSS before. And CSS means cascading style sheets. And what that allows you to do is to put parameters, put functionality on certain text. And then you don't have to redo all of those. You can just use the coding that you created. Use the setup that you created. Now in NVU, it's much easier than when you did the CSS with coding. So the first thing you do, and before we get into this whole unit is about a major assignment, and this assignment is an autobiography. So in this autobiography, you're going to end up with a bunch of pages, about 5, I think there's actually one more, so 6 pages in this autobiography. So keep that in mind. This is the main assignment you're going to be doing for this unit, and all these assignments are based on getting this autobiography done. Now watch this video. It'll walk you through how to set up NVU, how to do cascading style sheets, but here are the exact directions. Follow these directions exactly and it will work out right for you. And what you do with this is you end up creating these style rules, and these style rules tell the text what to do. So for instance, this first thing they're going to have you do is they're going to make you a style rule called titles, and your title style rule will have certain attributes, certain qualities to it. Like it could be italic, size 25, red. But once you create those styles, then you'll be able to use the CSS, just the name of the CSS, to put those styles anywhere you want in your document. So you'll do this exactly, and it will work exactly right, I guarantee. Now, excuse me. The one thing you want to do when you create these styles, you'll be making 4 styles for this assignment. Make them different enough from each other so that you can tell the difference. Like the title, the main heading of your autobiography, you probably want that to be big, like size 36 or something. But then the text of your autobiography, you might want to be size 24. Maybe different colored text, things like that. So assigning CSS. So on that last screen that showed you how to create the title one, but now they're going to have you create 3 more. You're going to make a paragraph one, a photo captions one, and a citations one. Follow these steps, and what you're creating an internal style sheet. Then you have to do something to make it external, and to make it external, you export it to make it external. And external means that it'll work on multiple pages. So exporting is the command to put it onto multiple pages. This tells you exactly how to do it. This video shows you how to do it. But also down below here, this tells you exactly how to do it. And when you create this style sheet, you're going to call it mystyles.css in the unit folder. And you're going to submit that to me. It does not have to be zip because you're submitting just this file by itself. So this My Styles assignment is going to create these 4 styles that you'll use later in your work. So follow those directions exactly to get that done. So you're going to create the mystyles.css with these 4 styles. Now there's different views you can use in NVU. And the 4 different views, there's normal, HTML tags, source, and preview. You can access them different ways. These at the bottom of the screen. Of course, the one you use most often is going to be the normal, because that's what you'll be working in most of the time. But you can see the different views. Here's the normal view. Here's the HTML tags, so it shows you where the tags are. And you can also see the coding for the tags are. Then the source view lets you look at the coding. And you can make changes to your web page right here in the coding when you do the source view. Then finally the preview. You can see how the preview works. So keep those in mind as you're doing your work. And what I would suggest you do as you do your work, if you want to change something up, go right here in the source code and change it up. It can make life easier for you. So make sure you play this little quiz, see how well you do on that. Now, once you create that external style sheet, remember it's called mystyles.css, then you need to use it in a document. And this document or in a file. And this file you're going to use it in is your autobiography file. So follow these directions right here exactly to set up a page. So you're going to set up your first page. And when you set up this first page, as you do it, you're going to end up setting up 6 pages. So when you work through this first one setting up a page, you're going to end up with these tabs at the top setting up pages, and then change them. One's going to be named index, one is going to be named baby, one's going to be named preschool. So you'll end up with 6 pages. Once you create those pages, then you go in and you make that mystyles.css, you make it a part of each of the 6 pages. So you create this page right here that's going to be called index.html. And when you're in that page, then you do Tools, CSS Editor, Expert Mode, Link ELT, choose File button, go to Unit 4 and you go get the My Styles. So you're making this My Styles file that you created earlier, you're making it a part of the index page. Then down here you're going to make it part of the baby page, then make it part of the preschool page, part of the elementary page, part of the preteen page, part of the now page. So all of those will look at the mystyles.css in order to get their styles. Then resave all your pages, click on the tab for each page, and then you make sure you save them. So those are going to be the 6 pages you'll end up with. And then once you get that done, then you're going to go to your index page, and you're going to type a title. So it might be, if I was doing it, I'd call it Ron Harrison's Autobiography. Then I'd apply the external CSS for the title. So I'd call it Ron's Autobiography, and then I'd highlight it all. Then I'd go through the steps to apply the mystyles.css. Then I hit enter and I write a paragraph about myself. Then I highlight that paragraph, and the CSS for that, I give it the paragraph CSS. So the title that I make, I'm going to give the title CSS, the paragraph, I'm going to give the paragraph CSS. And you do this to all of the pages in your Unit 4 folder. And again, I have videos to show you how to do that. So that covers section 1. So if we go back to the write-up, have you downloaded NVU? Well, that's going to be yes or no. Once you create CSS, what do you have to do to make it part of your web page? Well, I said what you had to do. There's one certain thing you have to do. It's one word. List of 4 views, which one you use most often. I talked about that. Full names of the 6 pages you will use. I talked about that. And when I mean full names, when I say full names, I mean extensions also. Now before we jump into section 2, I'm going to go up here to the course home and to the week 5. And if you look here, here's the recording on how to do the font attributes assignment. That's the mystyles.css you turn in. How to format the autobiography, how to do the tables assignment. We haven't looked at the tables assignment yet, but I show you exactly how to do those things. All right, now we're into section 2, but let's go look at the write-up questions for section 2. And for section 2, what are the 2 ways you can set the width or height of tables? What are the 3 ways you can add color with coding? When you view a table in normal HTML, what do the red lines mean? And then what are the dimensions of the table you'll make for autobiography? All right, now we're into section 2. And in section 2, remember you made, actually I don't remember if we made codes, but you looked at in one of the Class Connect write-up questions, talked about codes, and you had to make a table code and tell it where the table ended and all of that. And in VU, it's so much easier. So this is a little video to walk you through it. But you just click on the table toolbar, drag the mouse to the numbers of rows you want. Then you can edit the table, do different things to it. You can delete rows, add rows. To change the width and height of your table, there are 2 ways. You can change it to % of the screen or the number of pixels. I recommend you always use % of window. So what that would mean, if you had a table, the width of it, you wanted 80% of the window, then that means that it would have a little bit of margin on the left or right. So again, the 2 ways you can adjust your table width and height is the % of the screen or the actual numbers of pixels. You can align the table, put background color. You can even adjust the cells. You can do different colors on different cells. All kinds of things you can do as you create your table. And of course, text wrap, that would make the wording wrap rather than just keep going on one continuous line. So that's creating a table. Now the different views and what it looks like with the table. So in source view, of course, you would get the all the coding, and you can go in and change the coding. So you could change the width of the table to 120 pixels if you want, whatever you wanted to do. So there's the source view that you would see. This is all of your table. Then there's the HTML tag view, and you can see right here, this means there are tags in those places. And there's the preview pane down below. Now one thing, if you look at the HTML tag view, so you're looking at this table up above, it has these red outlines. See the red outlines up here? What that means is that table right here, that table border is 0, meaning that you can't view it. So in a normal HTML, you see the red lines, and what those red lines mean is that the border is 0. So the difference between, so this one up here, the border is 0, but down below here, this border has a thickness because you can see it. So this, what this does, the reason you can see that in the HTML tag view and in the normal view is so you can go in and do some adjusting if you need to. Imagine if you try to do your work when you're looking at the preview. Right here's the preview mode. You can't tell where the tables end and begin up here. The cells end and begin, can you? So that's why the normal view and the HTML tag view are useful, because you can see the invisible borders. In the table assignment, excuse me, in this table assignment, every one of your pages is going to be like this. Every one of your pages is going to have a table like this. So that's how web pages work, right? Page to page to page looks similar. So if you look at this table, how many rows does it have? Well, some of these rows over here are combined, so I'm going to count all these rows over here. So I count 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, birth is 4, preschool is 5, elementary is 6, 7. I count 8 rows. And how many columns is this? Well, this is a column, since that's a narrow column, right? And then these are all a wide column. So this is 7 rows by 2 columns. And your other pages, like this is Pam Smith's birth page, you can see that it uses the same type of table. Now the thing about this gives you an idea of what these autobiography pages will look like. You can see how your autobiography at the top, that wording, the title wording is going to be different from your text wording. And that's all done with the CSS. So you set up your table, so go into your index file and create the table. And when you create the table, then you'll take the text that you've already typed from a previous assignment, you'll take that text and you'll put it into the particular places in that table. Now, you won't have an image in it yet. Don't worry about that. You'll do that later. But you'll put your links on the left. These won't be live links yet. And you'll put a caption under the picture. Or don't put a caption yet. Wait till you do the pictures later on. So again, this table on every one of these pages is going to be 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean 8 rows and 1, 2 columns. 8 rows and 2 columns on all these tables. Okay, so that's all for this week's presentation. So if I go back to the write-up, did we answer these questions? 2 ways you can set width and height. Yes, I talked about that. 3 ways you can add color to a table with coding. Actually, I didn't do that one. When you view a table in normal, what does the red lines mean? We talked about that. What are the dimensions of the table you're going to make for autobiography? We talked about that. But 3 ways you can add color. Let me go back to here. So if we look right here, I think the answer is here. So this talks about color. You can see right here, this is doing background color, RGB, etc. But there are 3 ways you can add color to a web page. One is that you can use the color name inside quotes. So you could put dark blue inside quotes and it would recognize it. Another is to use hexadecimal coding, and you've seen that before. And finally, the last one is to use the RGB. So there are different ways you can add color. So that answers that question. All right, let's go back to the beginning of the course. I want to show you a last piece from the course home. Please remember, so here we are in week 5, that I have these recordings that tell you exactly how to do this. How to do the My Styles file, how to do the autobiography, the text assignment, and how to do the tables assignment. Explained all those in these recordings. Those will help you out. So that's all I have for you. I look forward to your work coming in, and again, if you're behind, please get old work caught up, then move on to this new work. Thank you, everyone. Bye.